Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well. Today's video is extremely special for me because we are now in November, so that means we are officially in holiday territory. So I am so excited. Today we are going to be making a sugar cookie cake. So it's just, to start off the holiday season. So I really hope you guys enjoy. For today's recipe, what you'll be needing is one batch of my vanilla cake. I do have a recipe for that on my channel already that you can go check out right here. Otherwise, you could use your favorite vanilla cake. And what I do, I simply add in 1/4 to 1/3 cup of sprinkles. So I use Jimmy's because I feel like they work best. You will also need 2 sugar cookie discs. So basically, I just used my favorite sugar cookie recipe and I actually baked it in the same baking mold that I did the cake to ensure that it was the same size. So I just need 2 of these. That's how it's going to become a sugar cookie cake. So we're going to have a layer of cake, a layer of cookie, cake. So it should be really, really interesting, holiday-ish, and bring a nice texture to the cake. And you also need 1 batch of vanilla buttercream. Whatever buttercream you prefer will be fine. You can try my Swiss meringue buttercream, which I also have a recipe for on my channel. Today I will be using American buttercream though, just because I feel like it's more similar to the buttercream we find on sugar cookies. Today I decided to put my buttercream in a piping bag. This is totally optional. I just prefer doing it because I find it less messy. So I'm just gonna start with a bit of buttercream on the base of my cake board. And I'm just gonna spread this out. This is simply for the cake to adhere to something. I'm gonna get my first cake layer on here. Perfect. So then we're gonna go ahead and add our vanilla buttercream. Don't wanna put too much in my opinion because this is a sweeter cake. So you just want enough that everything come together. And you want to make the surface as flat as possible because we want our cake to be stacked straight. So once we have the first vanilla cake layer down, we're going to go in with our sugar cookie layer. And we're just going to place it on top like this. And you always want to get eye level with the cake just to make sure that you're stacking straight. So that seems pretty good. We're going to go back in with some buttercream. Back in with the next layer of vanilla cake. And you're just going to repeat again. And finally, our last cake layer. The last one, for those of you who know me, you might already know this trick, but I always put it upside down because I find that upside down, you get a flatter edge to the cake. And look at those beautiful layers. Cake, cookie, cake, cookie, cake. It's so exciting. So at this point, you want to cover the whole thing in buttercream. So you just want to use your offset spatula and make everything nice and even. Go around your cake, making sure every centimeter is covered in your luscious buttercream. So once you've covered your whole cake, you want to get your flat edge cake scraper. You can have either a metal one or a plastic one. I'll link mine in the bio below. And you could find these on Amazon. They're really not very expensive. So if you want to get the perfectly smooth edges, I highly recommend you buy one of these. So you just want to go around the cake, trying to stay as straight as possible. And all while having a very smooth touch. You don't want to be forcing it too much. And like I said previously, this is the crumb coat, so you don't have to worry too much about scraping a lot off. We just want enough so that the cake is covered. If you see certain holes starting to form, this is where you'll go back in and fill them out with your buttercream. Just like so. And basically you just want to keep going until you feel happy with your crumb coat. So once you got your crumb coat ready, you want to pop this in the fridge for about 5 to 10 minutes and we'll come in with the paring knife to get those perfectly straight edges. All right, so the cake has been in the fridge for about 5 to 10 minutes and when I touch the buttercream, my finger is relatively clean. So you want to take a paring knife And as we usually do, just go along the cake, scraping off any excess. And what you want to remember is that you want to go sparingly. You don't want to take off too much, because if you take off too much, you can't put it back on. So I prefer starting slightly higher. So there might still be like a ridge, but that's fine. I'll just pass by over it again afterwards. So once you're pretty pleased with your sharp edge, this is where we are going to come in with the second coat of buttercream. And this is where it gets really exciting, because I've decided today to do stripes, because I want it to be like extra special for the holiday season. So in this case, I'm going to be using a striped cake comb. This will allow me to essentially get nice stripes on the cake. If you don't have a striped cake comb, it's not the end of the world. You could use piping bags and pipe white, green, you know, like pipe the colors up. I do, however, find that more difficult. So if you really want to get the exact same look, I really suggest you buy a striped cake comb. So I'm just going to start once again, like before, going around the cake, adding a new layer of buttercream. And before I actually go in with the cake comb, I want to take again my offset spatula just to fill in any gaps, because you want it to be basically like a full layer of buttercream that you're going to comb through. So once you've gone around the whole cake, we're now going to go in with the cake comb. So you want to try to stay as straight as possible and comb through. So the first time you're going through, you're going to be scraping off a lot of buttercream. That's totally normal. Now we're going to keep going. And I feel like this is the most essential part to get the nicest stripes possible. I won't say perfect, because it's really, really hard to get perfection. But if you take the time to go through the comb here, you want to make sure that each of these that are coming out are as full as possible. So you want to really take your time with this step. And if you see that there are holes in some of them, by all means, go back in with more buttercream. So I'm pretty pleased with that. I'm actually gonna put this cake in the freezer for about 20 to 30 minutes. That's another essential step in order to get clean, sharp stripes on the cake. So please be patient with this one. You don't wanna rush it. It will clearly vary your results. So the cake has been in the freezer for about 15 minutes and it's completely frozen. So this is what we want in order to get the cleanest stripes possible. Like I said, perfection is quite hard to achieve, but we're gonna do our best, right? So I've colored some of my buttercream pink because I want to go with more of like a modern holiday look. So I'm going to work with pastels today. So I'm going to do pink and a lighter green. In order to get the stripes like we want them, you want to put your buttercream in a piping bag. And with this, we're going to come and fill in all these gaps. So you want to work slowly but efficiently, filling everything. And you want to make sure there are no holes. So you really want to fill it fully. Perfect. So at this point, you want to take your offset spatula and you just want to help fill in all the gaps because you don't want any gaps to remain. So very lightly, just spread it. Doesn't matter if you're going over the white because we will be scraping that off. So it's not a big deal. So once you're pretty pleased with that, you're going to want to get your flat-edged cake scraper and just come along the edges and start scraping away. So it's gonna look worse before it looks better. Just trust the process, don't freak out. And to be 100% honest, what I like doing is heating up my metal cake scraper just a bit because that'll help us take off only the top layer. So that's what I'm gonna go ahead and do right now. And you want it to be hot water, obviously. And then you're gonna dry it off. And with it warm, it should be a bit easier to scrape off any excess. And you just wanna keep doing this until you're happy with your result. So a big thing with the stripes is knowing when to stop. If you keep scraping too much, you are gonna lose the effect of the stripe. So you've gotta be kind of careful with that. So considering that, I feel like I'm happy with what I've gotten here with the result of the stripes. So now I'm gonna pop this in the fridge for like maybe 2 to 3 minutes, and afterwards I'm gonna take it out and cut the final layer off with my paring knife in order to once again get that final sharp edge. This is the most important one yet because we are gonna be pouring our drip over top, and we want the top to be as smooth as possible and as a sharp edge as possible in order to get that drip to fall perfectly off the edge. So while the cake is in the fridge, I'm gonna take this time to prepare my drip. It's a super simple white chocolate ganache. So what it is half a cup of white chocolate chips, 3 tablespoons of heavy cream, and I have here Wilton white icing color. This is essential if you want to get a nice white drip because the base color of white chocolate is actually yellow, and it really comes out when you're making a ganache. So in order to get a nice white drip, I would say it's essential to have this whitener. Otherwise, it's gonna be more of a yellow tint to it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and prepare this ganache. So all I'm gonna do is measure out my 3 tablespoons of cream. And I'm gonna put this in the microwave for maybe like 20 to 30 seconds. Once it comes out, the cream will be warm enough. I'm gonna pour my white chocolate over it, and that should be enough to melt it fully. If it is not hot enough for the chocolate chips to melt, then I'll just put it back in the microwave with increments of like 10 seconds until I melted all the chocolate chips. So once you have your ganache pretty much melted and ready to go, this is when you wanna add the white coloring. So you wanna be quite generous, I would say. And you just stir this in, and you could see right away how the colors changed, right? So that's really why it's so important. So you wanna let this cool to pretty much room temperature before going ahead and dripping it over the cake. So my cake is in the fridge. This is going to set right here, and I'll meet you guys back in maybe like 10 minutes. All right, so my drip is now pretty much room temperature. So we're gonna be able to go ahead and apply it onto the cake. Some people use drip bottles, but I prefer a spoon because I feel like you've got better control over it. And in the past with my drip bottles, I've had the cap come off and all the ganache explode over the cake. So it's really quite heartbreaking when it happens. So I just prefer using a spoon. The way I like going about the drip is just starting and putting the ganache on top of the cake. And once I have a good amount on top, then I like to use my spoon and kind of encourage it to fall over the side. Not too much, just enough, just like so. And I like doing this all around the cake. There you go. So once the drip is applied, I suggest putting it back into the fridge for it to set, because if we start piping our decorations on top or adding stuff right away, because the ganache is so runny, it's just gonna run down the sides of the cake. I've done it before, it's a disaster. So please be patient. Put this in the fridge for another like 10-15 minutes until you can actually touch the ganache without it leaving anything on your finger. All right, guys, so we're at the most exciting part in my opinion. So I've prepared some cute little holiday wreaths from leftover sugar cookie that I had when I baked the cookie layers. And I've decorated them with a soft pastel green buttercream. And I also piped out a little forest of Christmas trees. Look how cute they are. So I'm gonna use these to put directly on top of my cake. You can, if you prefer, pipe them directly on top of your cake, but I do find that a bit harder. So I preferred piping them on parchment beforehand. You can pick and choose the prettiest ones, whereas if you're piping directly on your cake, once it's on, if you don't like it, it's much more stressful to try to take off at that point. So let's see how it works here. Oh my God, guys, this is gonna be so cute. Okay. So I usually go diagonally like so, and I start by placing 4, and then you can just like fill in the holes. So I would say maybe 4 more. Guys, oh my God, I find that so cute. So now I'm just gonna take the wreaths that I've prepared, and I'm gonna come put them all around the bottom. You can put as many or as little as you want. In order to make it easier for you to manipulate the trees and the wreaths, I have put them in the freezer just to harden it up because it makes it so much easier to handle. All right, guys, there you have it, my super festive striped sugar cookie cake. This one was such a blast to make, and I really hope it motivated you or inspired you to go ahead and make a festive cake in your kitchen, maybe with your family or friends. So there you go. I really hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did. Once again, if you have any suggestions of upcoming videos you would like to see, please don't hesitate in commenting below. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day and happy holidays. Guys, I just sliced into the cake and look at those layers. Beautiful layers of vanilla cake, cookie, cake, cookie, cake. I cannot wait to dig in.